quick note before we start. The channel posts 3 of these a day, but I only narrate the long versions personally on the ones that generally got under my skin. This is one of them.
Let me be precise about what I actually know, because the story gets easier to dismiss the less precise I am. My father, David, died of a cardiac event in March 1994. He was 41. I was 9 years old. He was the kind of man who documented everything, the kind of person who understood that ordinary moments become extraordinary once the person filming them is gone. He had a JVC camcorder, a mid-range consumer model, nothing special. He filmed birthday parties, Saturday mornings, my sister learning to ride a bike in the driveway, the dog eating a wasp. Small things, real things. All of his tapes were stored in a shoebox on the top shelf of the hall closet in my mother's house. She never moved them. She never watched them, as far as I know. She said once that she intended to someday, when it felt less like pressing a bruise. Someday never came. And last month I was clearing out her house after her move to assisted living, and I opened that closet for what I think was the first time since I was a child. The shoebox was exactly where I remembered it. I brought it to the kitchen table and opened it. 14 tapes, all in their plastic clamshell cases, all labelled in my father's handwriting. Block capitals, blue ballpoint, dates in the format he always used, month and year, occasionally with a brief descriptor. July 1991, Christmas 1992, Easter 1993. The last one in his hand was Christmas 1993, which tracks. He died 3 months later. There were no tapes from 1994 at all, which also tracks. Nobody would have been filming in 1994. I counted the tapes twice. I set them in chronological order across the kitchen table. I was already thinking about digitizing them, about whether my sister would want copies, about the logistics of all of it. Practical thoughts, distance thoughts, the kind you use to keep yourself from falling into something you're not ready for. Then I noticed the shoebox wasn't empty. One more tape at the bottom, slightly apart from the others, lying flat. Same case, same label stock as the rest. I picked it up. The handwriting is mine. I know my own handwriting. I've known it since I was a kid. There's a particular way I form the J, a slight leftward lean, on my capital letters that I've never fully corrected. It's on that label. June 1999. My handwriting, my label format, but not my memory. I have absolutely no recollection of writing that label. No recollection of opening that closet as a teenager. No recollection of handling the camcorder. No recollection of filming anything or asking anyone to film anything. I was 14 in June 1999. I would have been finishing 8th grade. I can remember that summer with reasonable clarity. A road trip to see cousins, a sprained wrist from skateboarding, the specific smell of the chlorine at the public pool. I can pull those textures up without effort. What I cannot pull up is a single frame of whatever is on that tape. I've been trying to construct an innocent explanation for 2 weeks now, and I want to walk through them honestly, because I think honesty is the only way to see this clearly. Explanation 1. I labelled the tape, but filmed nothing. Maybe I found a blank tape in the closet as a teenager. Maybe I intended to use it for something, labelled it, and then either used a different tape or never filmed at all. This is plausible, except for one thing. My mother told me, years ago, that she had never opened that shoebox, not once. If I had opened the closet and rooted through his things in 1999, she would have known. The closet was not a private space. She would have seen me. She would have said something. Explanation 2. Someone else labelled the tape in handwriting that looks like mine. My sister, perhaps. But my sister's handwriting doesn't look like mine, has never looked like mine, and she was 12 in June 1999, and living 40 minutes away with her father by then. And the J is wrong for her. Explanation 3, I labelled it, I filmed it, and I've simply forgotten. This is the explanation I keep returning to, not because it's comforting, but because it's the least structurally impossible. Memory is not a hard drive. It is a reconstructive process, and it lies. I may have done something at 14 that I have since buried for reasons I don't understand. But here is the thing that stops me from accepting that explanation and moving on. I went through my father's other tapes last week. Not the 15th, just the 14. I sat with them for 3 hours and I watched them in order, and I want to tell you what I noticed, because I think it matters. My father labelled his tapes before he filmed them. I can tell because in several cases the label says one thing, and the content begins with something slightly different. An extra birthday, an unplanned moment he captured before the labelled event started. He labelled first. He prepared. The label on the 15th tape is clean. No cross-outs, no amendments. It was labelled before whatever is on it was filmed, which means that in June 1999, when I was 14, someone, and I cannot rule out that it was me, opened my dead father's closet, took out his camcorder, loaded a blank tape, labelled it before filming, filmed something, replaced the tape in the shoebox with his others and closed the closet, and then, apparently, forgot all of it. I brought the camcorder to a technician yesterday to confirm it still works. It does. I'm writing this the night before I've decided I'll watch it. I want a record of what I knew before I pressed play, because I think that matters. I think knowing the shape of the question before you get the answer is the only honest way to evaluate whether the answer is real. The detail I keep circling back to is the label format. June 1999. I used his format. Month first, year, no day, same blue ballpoint, same block capitals. A 14-year-old trying to match his style, or a 14-year-old who had spent so many hours looking at those labels that his style had become mine without my noticing. I haven't told my mother about the 15th tape. I'm not sure I will until I know what's on it. There's one more thing, something I only noticed while I was writing this actually. The camcorder my father used has a counter on the tape door. It shows how many tapes have passed through the mechanism, a usage counter. I looked at it when I handed it to the technician and I didn't think anything of it. The number is 15. If you watch something like this and find an answer that doesn't open 3 more questions, I'd genuinely like to know how you got there. I haven't decided whether I'm posting the follow-up. There's a part of this I'm still not ready to say out loud.
If anything in this one rang familiar, I want to know. Tell me what you noticed in the comments. I read them.